I've transitioned from like having like a million browser tabs open to like a million terminal tabs open, like because you're running like multiple things and
You're on a
it's
Mac, right?
interesting. Yes.
Do you have a PC lying around?
Not anymore. No. I've got a
I
Raspberry
feel
Pi
like
lying around.
I feel like the next step for you is to dig into this new Linux configuration that DHH is pushing hard,
I
Omachi.
know. Yeah, I've been reading. I've been
You're
reading
gonna be
about
one
that.
of
He's
those
all big
guys.
about Omarchy and stuff. Like, yeah,
Omar.
that's yeah. He's trying to get everybody. He's trying to get everybody on board with it. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting when it comes time to.
You thought
There's
these
just so
blocks was
much stuff
hard.
that's
Just
like
wait.
Mac specific though that like it's kind of like also like I'm super heavily invested now in Raycast. Like I love Raycast and I think it's
Hey,
Mac OS only.
if it's good enough for DHH, it's good enough for you. Let me just say that.
Well, DHH is also smart enough to like use other stuff. Like I need the give me the it's drawn in crayon stuff, man.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Meisterheim. With me, as always, Taylor, world traveler, sees people all over the globe, Paige. Welcome back from your big anniversary trip to Barcelona. Good to have you
Thank
back
you.
on the show, Taylor.
Thank you, thank you. I enjoy. I appreciate World Traveler too. I've been to Canada now, and I've been to Spain in Barcelona.
gamut.
So I'm glad that like I'm now the World Traveler. That definitely
Well,
definitely.
I mean, if you'd
fits
gone the
bill.
other way back, you would have gone around the whole world. But...
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll ask them next time on the flight specifically if we could
No,
instead
you don't
actually
do
go
that.
the other way. Like
Those sort of suggestions can be misperceived by the flight crew.
this guy is asking us to change the flight plan. Like okay, like yeah, TSA picked this guy up. Yeah. Well, no, like it was already like a long enough flight too at like 8 hours. Like, geez, like just
8
from
hours. What'd you do?
New York. No, it wasn't even 8 hours. It was like 7 hours from New York to Barcelona. So I even exaggerate a little bit there. And it was overnight, like the time difference. So we should have
Yeah.
slept, but I don't know. I don't know about you. I can't sleep on planes.
So wait, you flew from New York City to Barcelona and it took you 7 hours?
Yeah, I think it was 7 hours.
Man, those people that were on the Mayflower, they probably really feel bad for you. 7 hours in a seat to get from New York to Barcelona. Whew, that's brutal, Taylor, man. I don't know how you survived that.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, isn't it? But it is tough. 7 hours.
well, hey, they
is
could
tough.
at least get up and walk around the cabin.
Yeah, they could get up and risk
Granted,
falling
it was,
overboard.
on a ship and probably all over the place and all this other stuff. Yeah, much
Pirates.
more perilous, obviously, than we got like little pillows and blankets issued to us, and there was in-flight
Dinner.
movies, and so I watched. What did I watch? Thunderbolt. That was one of the new Marvel movies I had not seen before.
Never heard of that.
Yeah,
any good.
I think that's the name of it. I could be making this up. But I've really been enjoying reading The Lord of the Rings. I've actually never read the book all the way through, and so I just had it on the Kindle, and I was just going to town on that, and that's been really enjoyable so far.
Oh,
so
good.
it's great.
What part
great
are you in?
book. So right now I am just in the part I'm into. So I also didn't realize, because my introduction to Lord of the Rings was originally when I was a kid, like they had like little cartoon versions of the movies, and then as an adult they had the actual movies. And so I didn't realize there's actually like it's a whole series of books that then they kind of like consolidated into like volumes. Is that the right
Yes.
term? I don't know. I can't remember. And so anyways, so I'm into the Two Towers volume or section or whatever. So they actually just made it to Isengard because they're going to take on Saruman, but then they found out that the Ents already did all their work, and so it's really, really, really interesting. It's been a really good read so far. I've really enjoyed it a lot. So
Well, I'm glad you liked it. My kids, I have 3 kids. Some of them love Lord of the Rings, and they become a bit of a snob, so they give me a hard time. Anyway, but I saw this the other day. Can you see what I'm sharing?
oh yeah, okay.
This is a version of The Hobbit that was translated into Russian back in the day, the Soviet era.
What?
And it was illustrated by the author. So if you're Alex Q. buckle, I guess. I don't know. 1976. Anyway, if you like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, this might be some fun thing to check it out. We'll put in the show notes. A lot of cool illustrations by this artist that you don't often see, I guess because it was in Soviet Russia and not Western Europe, where a lot of the art we get tends to come from for this particular piece of fiction. Anyway, yeah,
That's awesome.
Might be interesting.
That is interesting. I didn't realize that there was so much story to the Lord of the Rings in general, even just from like it being printed and reprinted with like different publishers and then bringing it to the US and all this stuff or what have you, and how like there were lots of issues with every single edition with like corrections that were made that shouldn't have been corrections because, you know, obviously like this whole like universe was kind of created like for the book. It's really interesting, just like the background of everything as well. So
the other thing that's fascinating to me about it too is, and I know, dear listener, you could care less, but Tolkien, if I recall correctly, didn't publish Lord of the Rings until I think he was in his 60s, if I'm remembering. So, you know, he was obviously a professor and successful in other ways, but this huge like literary success didn't come till late in life. And so I just keep thinking as I age and look around and see nothing of value that I've accomplished, I'm like, there's still time. I could be a late bloomer too. I could be like Tolkien, and maybe my opus is yet to manifest. So,
well, that's, you know, that's I would wager to say that's not true. Obviously, like for one, you know, you have Liquid Weekly, the newsletter that you've put in.
It's not helping, Taylor.
Dedicated years to. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's really hard. So it's hard when you're trying to measure success or impressions on things when you're coming at it from a personal standpoint. But you know, all the people in the community that have benefited from just the newsletter. I'm not talking about the podcast because I'm associated with the podcast, obviously, and I'm not trying to give myself a pat on the back here. I'm just talking about the newsletter in general or what have you. But how helpful that has been just for everybody. So all the time that you've put into that. So I know that it probably doesn't feel that way in general or what have you. But it is. It's something that I think it's a really big part of, you know, that legacy. So
thank you, Taylor. But when I die, people will say he did Liquid Weekly. He was a man. It was it be on, industry.
It's on the tombstone. Well, you know, and a good segue from this is like one of the things, part of legacy or things that you've been doing to transition a little bit to Shopify is the app, obviously. So there's as far as things being built of consequence, you know, that's a big deal.
I was going to say even before that, the better segue would have been what I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, which was as we're recording this in mid-August, it is coming up on the 4-year anniversary of that newsletter, Liquid Weekly, when I started it.
4 years.
August of 2021.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I need to figure out some kind of marketing razzmatazz to really do something fun about that, because it seems like a waste to not, like, oh, hey, it's 4 year, blah, blah, blah. I get it, like, you know, build some excitement around it. So we'll see. I paid for X finally. So I've got like Super X. Funny story about that too.
Super X. Which one did you do? Because I was originally on the higher one, and then they wanted me to re-up at like a ridiculous rate, so I dropped down. Are you on the ad-free version?
Well, yeah. Here's what happened. No, I'm not. So I saw the little banner come up, like, oh, you know, from now until tomorrow, save 30%. Whatever. Like, well, I've been waiting for another deal to try it because I wondered if it would help me reach my audience of you people. So I went for it, and it was like almost before the deadline, so I signed in and really quick went to the screen and paid and realized I had been in the wrong profile. I wasn't in my Liquid Weekly profile, I was in my personal one, which I didn't care to pay for. I was like, oh, I'm sure I can change this. No. They're like, screw you. It's no refunds, no help. You sure you can email support, right? Like there's anybody even there. It's like, well, crap. So then I had to pay for it a second time to get the Liquid Weekly one. So I didn't save any money per se. And I hate giving money over to that company, but I did not do the high end plan. I did the mid tier, like it's not ad free, but it's
premium, not premium plus.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the premium one was just like, man, I loved being ad free or what have you, but yeah, like they wanted to re-up. It went from being super reasonable to just like ridiculous. I think it really jumped. And there was some kind of a glitch because I feel like other people kind of had the same thing because it was like $80-some a month or something, I think. Is what it jumped to. I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I'll have to go back and try to find the post.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, now if I look at if I want to upgrade, it's like $33 a month, which still, like, for what you get, like no ads and being able to write articles and stuff or whatever is just like being able to use Grok, like super Grok, could be useful potentially. I've heard good things. So, I don't know.
I feel like
We'll see.
LLMs
Thus
are
far,
a dime a
no.
dozen right now. But, yeah.
At this point, yeah, like, I did get this is a very small segue or offshoot to this, but like, have you heard of Kiro? Kiro?
Yeah, I downloaded that. Actually, it's
Did you?
running right
Okay,
here.
so-
I've not done anything with it.
I only just got access to it because it went to like a wait
Oh, you
list.
just got access, yeah.
And I
Well,
just got access to it, so I wasn't one of the cool kids. But I tried it on one project, just a really small deliverable, knocked it out of the park, real easy. I tried it on another with theme blocks, and it biffed so hard. I wasted so much time on theme blocks trying to get this done, and so I eventually just like redid it, kind of like rebased with like, here's the rough structure, and then used Claude to get where I needed to be or whatever. So. I'm just not quite good at using it yet, obviously, but it was really interesting. Do you use, like, if you're using it or have used it, do you use the spec-driven version or the vibe-driven version?
I have Kiro open and running on my computer. That is as far as I've gotten to playing with Kiro specifically. So
you haven't even
the
tried
icon's cool. I mean, I opened it.
it?
No,
That's not trying it.
I've been so busy.
I know.
And then last week, when they released GPT-5, Cursor gave everybody access to it free for a week.
Oh, cool.
So I've been busy, like, utilizing that free week.
Well, I was busy last week, so...
Yeah. Speaking of biffing, so I was using it, GPT-5, and there's this feature I needed to do for the app, which now we're segueing to the app.
Nice.
So this is the app I'm working on with Kurt, EtherCycle. It's a free gift with purchase app. Super simple in concept, but you know how the things go. And
Yes.
one of the things about the app was built for Shopify now, there's some things they want you to do around, like checking if you have theme extensions, if they're enabled or not.
Right.
Which we do when you first install the app. We give you a little warning, like, hey, make sure you enable the theme extensions. And if you enable them, I would check to see that you had done that and then mark it as being checked. But they want you, like, to be able to recheck to see if they ever disable them, like you would be able to let the user know that happened.
Mm-hmm.
When I originally looked into it, the only way to know if the theme extension was enabled or not was to parse through the settings data and look for it, essentially.
Sure, that makes
You'd have
sense.
to do a GraphQL call, grab the settings file, parse it, see if it's in there. It would be nice if this was like a webhook or some other way of being notified if someone made a change to it, because otherwise you have to do that every time you want to check, and that's, not lightweight. So I was excited to have GPT-5, so I'm working on that feature. I'm like, hey, do you know GPT? Like, is there a way like to do this? Thinking like maybe it knows, and it's like connecting to the Shopify MCP server. Like, it's getting the documentation. I'm watching it do its stuff, and it's like, yes, you can. Well, if you make a change, you get this particular webhook notification. I'm like, really? That must have been new, because I just saw you look at the documentation, so surely it's true. It's not true.
Oh,
a few hours later,
GPT-5, come on,
when
man.
I go to test it, it's like, wait a second, why isn't the webhook firing? Oh, right, because it lied to me a second time about this.
You're just as bad as all of your cousins. You
Just as
lie to our faces and hallucinate too.
So if any of you out there
sad.
know like a really easy way to do it without having to pull the file, let me know. I'd be very interested. Hey, not the end of the world. I wrote a job that checks once a day, but seems like a better way is probably out there.
Yeah, it seemed like that would be... It's one of those things where that seems like super valid, because it's like the most absolute basic troubleshooting thing of when you have this app installed and like, I have a problem with this. You're like, okay, well, is it even on? Like,
Right.
like, have you enabled it in your theme? And that would be the first step. And so, yeah, having to do that constantly seems kind of silly.
Well, speaking of webhooks, so this is the one part of the show where I will share something useful. So I've been working on this app, and one of the recent features I've been working on is this. So in the app, there's a setting where you can use the resource picker to basically find a product on the store that you want to offer as a free gift. You can set it up in the configuration like for a campaign, right? And so when you do that, it goes to the store, brings back the list of things. You select one or more variants of a particular product you want, saves it, and then Bob's your uncle does all the stuff on the store to set that up for you. The trouble is, what if that product goes out of stock or is no longer available, right? You'll think your campaign is running, but it won't actually be working because it's not there, that kind of thing. So we wanted to be able to let the user know in our admin side, like, hey, your campaign is actually not working right now because the thing you selected is no longer in stock. So you're thinking, how do you do that? Well, obviously, you get webhooks when inventory changes. You can listen for those, which is great. Here's the deal, Taylor. I don't know how many people are going to install this app. Could be 2. Could be 100. I don't know. And then you think about the stores. Like some of those stores could be pretty big. It could have thousands of products, for all I know, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly you're listening for these webhooks for thousands of products from multiple stores, potentially, and you only really care about one particular product and all of that stuff, but you have to like look at the payload of each one, see if it's the right product or not. It's just a lot of overhead, and I don't want to spin up infrastructure for that. And I'm not using Gadget, so that was my fault, right? So I was researching this. Are you interested? Let me tell you what I found.
Yes, I'm interested. This is interesting.
Yeah. So
especially because you're trying to solve this big problem without Gadget.
I'm solving
right?
it for
you're
you.
rolling this yourself, you know.
Oh, I know. I'm freebasing the codes. Yeah. So you can filter webhooks now on the Shopify side. So that's great because they'll do all the processing, and then they'll only send you webhooks that match the filters you specified. And there's a whole filter language similar to the search language. There's a spec on it on the Shopify docs. You read what it can do, including
and the filtering. For clarification, this is like if you wanted all orders, but you only wanted all orders with like a certain tag or attribute, like you could filter the order so you don't get hammered with every single order. Okay.
Correct. So before it even comes to your server, it's being filtered out by Shopify, right? And you set all that up in the webhook subscription. Easy peasy. Trouble is, for my use case, that data that I want to filter by is dynamic, and it's per shop. Because every shop's going to have a different free gift, and those free gifts are going to change, potentially, right?
Right.
So how do you do that? Well, Taylor, after a little more digging, what I found is you can actually, and I didn't know this, I probably should have, but you can subscribe to webhooks either as an app, like across the whole app, or you can do it per shop.
Nice.
And if you do it per shop, then you can do it dynamically and set up the specific filters for the data you want. That anytime changes are made by the admin of that shop on your app, you can then readjust the subscription just for that shop to take those new filters into account.
Nice. That's really handy. So then you're not, again, like you're getting a whole bunch of noise for stuff if you've got, for when you have hundreds of people that have installed this, right?
So I will literally only ever receive, a handful of webhooks per shop, depending on how many campaigns they set up and how many free gifts they have set up. But it took that like O of N problem, or it's probably N squared or something, I don't even remember, and made it much better. Nice.
That's really cool. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, is something you've considered, because me as not an app dev first, as a theme dev first, learning app dev, and somebody doing all the Shopify things, have you looked at or considered for something like this, like potentially folding in something like a Shopify flow for those kinds of notifications? Like if you just wanted to like notify the store owner, because in this instance you want to be notified as the app, but like if you wanted like something goes out of stock, for instance, but it's a product that's being used in the free gift with purchase option. I've seen some apps, or that's the recommendation or suggestion would be like, oh, just create a flow that someone could add to their shop, where it's like, okay, like it listens for the specific products that are in, or you add the products that are within like the different campaigns as the eligible item, and it checks to see, oh, if this product goes out of stock, no problem. If this product goes out of stock, like notify like store owner or something like this. Is that something, as far as like use cases go, that would be helpful from the app dev perspective? Because then you're not even having to mess with webhooks.
Well, that's a really good idea, Taylor. I hadn't thought about it. I've not actually ever used Flow.
Well, that's why I'm curious. I like this idea a lot because I think this is really cool, and I've talked about this on social media and stuff before. Because the neat thing is, if you go into Shopify Flow app, you can like install templates that are created by these different apps, right? And so you actually see, it's like, it feels like another surface or space where people are advertising their app, because all of a sudden, every now and again, I'll go in there and like, oh, who's got a template in here? And so people that are using Flow a lot for automations on their shop, you'll see, oh, like there's a flow from this app. What does this app do? So it's just a thought, but then you'd be able to like say, hey, like if you want notifications for when this happens, like download this template. I think there would be problems though, obviously, of like grabbing all of the different gift, the variant IDs, because obviously they're going to have different gifts and different campaigns for that. So like you wouldn't want to have installed a whole bunch. You'd want something maybe where its specific product is tagged or something like this or what have you.
I'll definitely have to look into that because, the way I have it set up now is they'll see in the app, they'll see a visual notification that we've recognized it's out of stock. But it would be nice for them to be notified without having to come into the app. So Flow could alert them somehow via an email or something. I guess we could email them too, but still.
Yeah. I would say email being a really big thing, I think would be very helpful just because a lot of those folks are used to that. In Flow, I had that set up for all flows with not that specific use case, but like if there's an error with flows or what have you, I utilize that a lot where it's like notify me by email and it shoots me an email if there's a problem or if we have something that goes out of stock that we don't want out of stock kind of type thing.
You're a genius, Taylor. I don't care what Harshdeep says. You're a genius.
Wait, what did Harshdeep say?
Nothing. Anyway. Speaking of which,
I was going to say, I just checked in on him the other day because he's moved to Toronto. He's working for Shopify, and so just crushing it. Like, as always.
Oh, he moved to Toronto?
Yeah, he did.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's public news. I'm pretty sure it's public news. I'll double check before, and I'll scrub this from the podcast if it's not. But yeah, so he's over there in Toronto. So just a short drive from us. We're gonna have to go see him. But he's just doing a great job. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to seeing his impact. Like the longer that he's there with some of the stuff that he's working on. But yeah, so he's doing good. Just checked in on him the other day.
You're so good to your people.
Well, it's actually so I don't know about that. I was talking to because in SDA we're going to do a briefing on like AI like optimization and stuff, and so hopefully coming up here soon. But I was asking a couple of people that are just really really good at AI, and one of them, Taksh in there, has shared a lot of really cool AI stuff that he's been doing. And so when I had asked him, he had said something about Harshdeep, and I was like, I really don't want to bother Harshdeep because he just started Shopify, and I know he's probably just in the thick of it, man, just like getting all this stuff or what have you. And so I said that, I was like, I really didn't want to bother him, but also like I do need to check in on him because I actually haven't had a chance to talk to him in a couple of weeks now. So, but yeah, so he's doing good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's fiddle music coming.
I hear it. It sounds great.
That's my son. Guess he made it on the podcast after all.
Yeah, he made it on the podcast. Yeah, his banjo stuff he's working on looks amazing. So
yeah, for those that are wondering what the heck we're talking about, my 12-year-old is super into old time fiddle music and banjos and things like that. So he's been making his own instruments, and he showed Taylor and I what he's been working on recently. It's pretty cool.
Like literally making one. That's just insane to me. Like. That's so cool. And doing that at 12 is crazy.
We had to have a little shop safety talk the other night because he's got a space in the basement where he does this.
It's like working on his lathe, you're like, what?
It's pretty good. The only power tool he has access to down there is a scroll saw.
Okay.
If we use other power tools, like we have a bandsaw, we've got a miter saw, we've got a table saw. I do those with him or I supervise him. But anyway, he was doing some finishes with linseed oil and some stains and stuff, and like. If you don't know, like if you use a rag, you are using a rag. When you use a rag for that, you have to be very careful afterwards because those rags are, as it dries, it's an exothermic reaction, and so depending on how you handle them, they can actually catch on fire, and a lot of people end up with house fires or shop fires because of rags. So.
Yikes, that's crazy.
Yep. Anyway, how do we end up here? Okay, so yeah, Harshdeep.
Speaking of being on fire, yeah. Nothing was on fire for me this week. I just got back from being in Barcelona last week.
Oh, that's right. You went to Barcelona. That's the first time I heard of it.
Did that. That was my wife and I's 15th wedding anniversary was this year. So we celebrated, by going on a big trip. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a blast. We got to see Kiro over in Barcelona.
I'd like to see
He's
Kiro.
there now. And so I was really disappointed or sad, too, I didn't get the chance to meet. So Daniel Beck lives over in Spain, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he, it was so funny because I was like, oh, this is the week that we're going. Like, maybe we can figure something out. He's like, I'm going to be flying to the States to visit family that week. And so we literally passed each other, in the air kind of type thing. No, I got there actually the day that I got in was the day he was leaving. So, but
Perfectly timed.
so yeah, that didn't work out at least. But we had a great time, traveling and all this other stuff or what have you. I just had a blast. It was a lot of fun. But I was really fortunate. I didn't do anything on any non-client work, so that was kind of odd. I did do some client work while I was on vacation, but I'm also feel very fortunate to like be able to do work while I'm on vacation like that. And it wasn't a big, like, my wife and I were out all day, and then like 10 o'clock at night that night, while kind of settling down or whatever, I just would like hop on the computer and work for a little bit, and so kept all the fires at bay, and those sorts of things. Thankfully nothing was like shipping that week, but that's again like planning, communicating with people ahead of time when you're a freelancer, consultant, whatever. Just letting clients know ahead of time, like, I'm not gonna be as available this week, so you can kind of strategize around all this stuff. And so but came back to no real fires or anything like that here the week of, and so just getting back into the groove of working again. Working on theme blocks a lot this week, so that's been exciting. What's that?
Do you feel like you could tell them, like, I'm not available for the next week or even 2 weeks?
Yeah, I could, but as far as like how I set things up kind of on a, I do retainers, but I don't do retainers in the sense that like it's like a monthly, what I call subscription. So people get an average amount of hours each month or each week that are so much per month kind of type thing. And so those hours can be made up in another week kind of type thing.
Gotcha.
And I could do that, but also like I said, it's hard. Even when I was a social worker, like I would work on vacations at least a little bit.
So it's a you problem.
Yeah, I think it's more of a me problem than anything. So,
I do the same thing. I was just wondering, like, the way you structure your contracts. Like, yeah, I think it's when you are early on. I'm not saying you're early on, but when you're early on in freelancing, like the idea of not working, and when you're charging people on a monthly basis, whatever, like it feels really foreign. But like you can do that, and you can actually set the expectation that there's going to be periods where you're not available. That's healthy. And
yes,
I think as freelancers, we shy away from that.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of instances, where I've just had to communicate that with people ahead of time, or when possible, or emergencies have popped up. I had to go. That's my, sometimes emergencies pop up where you can't communicate that ahead of time, and you just have to let people know this is what's going on, or whatever, and just keep people, informed about what's happening. So the worst thing you can do is just, some people will just like totally drop off the face of the earth. Because they're worried about that confrontation, having that conversation, because like, oh, maybe I'll get fired. But it's just like, well, no, like you totally dropping off the face of the earth and not being accessible is what will get you fired. Like, the client won't want to work with someone that like just doesn't show up, man. So as long as you say like, hey, this is what's happening, people are cool about it. So, yeah, like setting good expectations and communicating, that's always key to being able to take time off in those situations for sure. So. And I took a lot more time, did not work nearly as much as I normally do, not even close. And so, and then just back into it this week. So that's really great. But yeah, like I've been doing more theme blocks this week. It's been like, sadly, like probably too much time that it's taken me to really start messing with this. I finally got to the point where I asked a bunch of folks in SDA, because I had a client that was interested in a more visual mega menu for their navigation on the desktop, and I was thinking meta objects. I was like, I'm going to build this out with meta objects because I'm comfortable with meta objects at this point. At first, it was very foreign and difficult, and Trudy, I feel like, taught me like how to use meta objects.
Oh, good Trudy.
And so, I've gotten to the point where like it's my go-to for everything. But a bunch of people were like, no, you should use theme blocks. If it's not overly complicated, because the problem is obviously you still have like the limit. I think it's like 50. Per section or what have you kind of type thing, as far as like you can nest them 8 deep, but like you still have that limitation for those. And so it's obviously something you have to be aware of when you're trying to set that up. And so I've been, like I said, kind of like really what I feel like relearning theme dev, because it's such a mind shift on how you set things up with theme blocks as opposed to section blocks, and the context and the content being so different. I was trying to just jump in and do stuff based off of examples that I saw on Horizon and the Quick Start, and I finally just had to stop and like just read the docs. Like I literally had to like just stop myself and be like, all right, I am just going to go through and line by line read the docs. And that helped out tremendously, obviously, after trying to fumble through it and not understanding what was happening for the longest time. So reading the docs has helped out tremendously, and so I'm going to hopefully ship something here early next week that hopefully the client's happy with. The problem is, I don't know if you've seen this as well. Now, don't get me wrong, like I think that the team working on this is like brilliant, like super, super smart people.
Uh-oh.
But like if you've seen like the reviews for like Horizon and all the different presets, like theme blocks is it's a huge mental shift, not just for developers building this, but for merchants trying to set this stuff up. And like Horizon and like all these other things, they're like just getting slaughtered in the reviews in the theme store. Like it is not good.
Oh wow.
So they've shipped a whole bunch of bug fixes lately, and so I think that'll start to turn around more as they're getting feedback. But to the encouragement of all the other people building apps and themes out there that feel like they're getting hammered with stuff or what have you, I feel like some of the smartest people in the world are working on this stuff, and they're getting beat up. And it's not necessarily their fault. Again, like it's one of those it's just one of those things. I think theme blocks are such a mental shift from like sections and blocks. Traditional section blocks is what we're now calling them, because they called them blocks, but they're theme blocks, which aren't the same as section blocks. And you can't have section blocks and theme blocks in the same section. What? And so
no, I'm thoroughly confused.
I know, it's like one of those things, like I feel like they should have just pivoted and like called it something completely different, because it's confusing as far as needing to delineate between those. And so but even me, like I was even like built a couple of these things out, and in the customizer even I'm trying to figure out, why is this not wrapping this block like it's supposed to? It's nested, but from a visual standpoint it was not nested in the appropriate theme block, and so I actually had to like move it around, and I was like, oh dang it, like I couldn't tell that until I was looking at the code and trying to figure out why it wasn't happening that way. And then the logical thing being like, oh, it's because it's not actually within this theme block nested here. So I don't know. It's such a mental shift. Like I said, not just for devs, but it's a mental shift for merchants. So if you're building with theme blocks, I mean, I think that's something you have to take into consideration, particularly if you're working with clients, merchants who have been in the Shopify space for a long time, and they already understand sections and blocks. And then we introduce meta fields and meta objects to them. Theme blocks might be the thing that like they just like, we're not doing it, man, like just stick to sections and blocks, kind of type thing. So we'll see. It's been interesting. It's been a little bit humbling trying to like relearn something again. I was like, I feel like I'm relearning Shopify theme dev all over again here.
Yeah, do you have any you mentioned the documentation, but did you come across any good treatments of the topic? Looking to see, has anyone done theme block videos? Come on, Jan.
Any good videos? So Jan just did a video on customizing Horizon. I would check that out. I haven't seen the video, but everything done by Jan obviously is top notch, and so I would definitely take a look at that. It literally just came out maybe 2 days ago, maybe sometime this week, and so I'm playing a lot of catch up, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. But like obviously anything Jan does is great. So I would check that. I would check Horizon. Horizon's been open sourced now. We can include that in the show notes as well. It was not originally open source. Now it is.
I saw that.
I'd take a look at that just to like kind of pay attention to how things get updated as well. I think that there's a lot of benefit there just to see the patterns. It is, like I said, it's just such a mental shift. I feel like it's the exact same mental shift that I had to like get over when I first figured out meta objects. For the longest time, meta objects made no sense to me. Like meta fields, I understood. They were great. They were wonderful. Loved them. Meta objects were just like, what? And now I use them all the time. So I'm hoping that this same canyon just needs to be traversed for theme blocks here. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we'll include some good resources hopefully in the show.
You should
notes.
write
Nothing
an
for
article
me
or
because I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, you should write something up or do a little video. I'll retweet it on my new Twitter paid subscription. Both of them. I'll do it on both of them.
On both of them. It's got that extra reach,
Yeah.
It'll get out there.
I don't know if no one cares. I care about your.
Everybody cares. Just maybe not more than other things.
It's funny because you say stuff like that, like you're working on a menu thing, right? And you're using theme blocks.
Yeah.
And you often say things like, "Well, I don't know much about app development or just theme. Like, as an app developer, like, that sounds intimidating to me. Like, I don't want to have to think about how to make a menu using theme blocks. So, kudos to you.
Yeah.
That sounds tough.
Everybody, pick your poison on like what you end up working with. And so, but for the app dev, I made a lot of like really great progress. I was really happy working with Gadget here for a couple of weeks, and then I totally fell off the map with it. So it's more, again, my own undoing of, I'm struggling with this a little bit, like moving from services to product mindset. I think that's a hard shift, at least for me.
Yeah.
So that's because you're saying, there's no way to do that without saying no to today money and yes to maybe money, later on. Like the thing that pays the bills, like more to that new stuff coming in as opposed to the thing that like, oh, this could actually be a thing later on, but not for a while. And that's hard. I just need to get better at it. So maybe after summer. Summer's always
someone that does coaching that helps people make that transition for a very modest fee, I might add. So if you're looking for like a mentor, I could get you his information.
Is it you?
I mean, I'm not at liberty to say right now. I'd have to check with him first. But...
Tell me what your price is. How many tubs of cheese balls?
Oh man, don't even get me started. I got a Sam's Club membership. The only thing I've used it for is PubMix. It wasn't worth it.
I love Sam's Club. It's so bad. It's it's been one of my picks before because even like if you get there at the right time, you take the kids, like they're just jazzed, like running from free sample to free sample.
Fun.
It's it's exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. It's an outing for the kid. Or lately they've had this little it's called Playground. Have you seen this? It's like a little gaming unit or whatever, but it uses like motion. So like you remember the Xbox Connect? You could like move around and it would like detect your physical movement. And you do stuff or what have you. And so it's just one of these. And so my kids will like, can we stop there first? And so we'll stop in. They'll play on it. Like we'll give them 5 minutes each or whatever before we can like go and do our other stuff. And so it's that, and then the free samples or whatever. It's just funny. So
how far away is the closest Sam's Club to you? Because you're not exactly in a metropolis.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. North or south?
There's one in Ontario. It's south.
Okay. Ontario. Never even heard of that town.
Yeah,
it's by Mansfield.
Well, yeah, it's Mansfield area.
Okay. Speaking of samples at Sam's Club, do they do those only on the weekends, or is it an everyday kind of thing?
No, I believe it's every day, but you have to usually get there. It's a limited time window, so I think it's usually like they're done by like 4:00. So.
I think I have a memory. Growing up, we would go after church on Sundays, and basically it would be lunch. So.
Yep.
Huh.
That's what we did when my wife and I were younger and poorer. We would pay for a Sam's Club membership, but. Mainly because, like, the one in Springfield, Missouri, where we went to, they would do breakfast. Oh. And so we lived close enough to one that on the way into town, we would stop in. They'd have, like, muffins and danishes and, like, orange juice and stuff. And we would just, like, stop in, get some breakfast, and, like, go. Like, that was what we... So for, we'd do the... Whatever membership was, like, $20, $40 a year or whatever it was. But then, like, you get breakfast at least 2 or 3 times a week there. It was a good deal.
Taylor, I like to think you and I are fairly successful in the technology space, but I'm thinking, Silicon Valley programmers, when they get together and talk, they're not talking about how to game Sam's Club samples like we are. They're in a different level entirely. But it's good to know we're still in touch.
Well, that's I tell people that all the time of like, man, my wife and I, when we were first married, like our tax return our first year was like $12,000. Like that's how much money we made combined, like between a bunch of little part-time jobs, like
plus the one coffee mug you sold,
workers or whatever. So what?
Plus the one coffee mug that you sold through your shop.
Plus one. Oh, that wasn't until years later. That was by the time we were already starting to pay back on those student loans. That was didn't make much of a dent. So
anyway.
But.
Well, good. Theme blocks. We're figuring it out. Taylor's going to change the world.
Figuring it out. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to how that evolves over time. Like I said, I just think it is. You're going to be better off with a bunch of like merchants that are newer to it. There are some themes that have just completely embraced theme blocks. So like, so Marianne Ferguson is a good example of that. She has a theme called Primavera, and so they like went with theme blocks like right off the bat, really embrace that mentality. But in order for new themes to do that, you can either just add a section, really, so that way you can get like the AI generated stuff and whatever kind of type thing. But like, there's no clean transition since like obviously it's so different. Like, you can't have regular section blocks within a section that supports theme blocks. Like, you get an error, it just doesn't work. So when that's the case, like, there's no easy upgrade path then. Like, you're gonna have to redo everything. So a lot of these other themes that are more established, like that have been around for a long time, that are doing sections and blocks, you know, they're not gonna be able to do that. So I think the way to do it is just kind of like going all in when you can. So I don't know, we'll see. Be interesting.
Have to let me know.
Oh, I will let you know for sure. But yeah, other than theme blocks, that's the only thing like new-ish I've had the chance to work on. I've still been enjoying a lot this pattern with like Claude Code. I think still ends up being like the best AI tool out there for me. I'm starting to like, when Cursor comes up to pay for it, I just don't use it. Like, I use Cursor like VS Code right now. I don't use any of the AI at all. I'm just using Claude Code. Claude Code, I'm using Gemini too, just because, like, as an opportunity to like use it. And so, like I said, I was testing out Kiro. Like I said, knock that one thing out of the park. The spec-driven development is interesting. Options that get, so since you've only opened it, but it gives you these two options. It's like, choose your path. Like, you want to vibe code, or do you want to like do spec-driven development kind of type thing? And so I've really enjoyed this planning spec-driven development kind of type thing. I think it's like really helped with the back and forth with AI so far. And so, and you know me, I'm very verbose. So I give lots of context up front and then let people like suss out what they need. And so, you know, like I've chosen that, but like it does it a little bit differently in that it's kind of interesting. It like creates like a whole bunch of files. And so you have to like throw that in your git ignore. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Like, I don't want it like throwing that up in the repo all the time or whatever kind of type thing necessarily. And so, but like it just like busts through all this stuff, creating all these little markdown files or what have you to like kind of guide and direct it. So it is helpful, I'm sure, like in the stance of like how it works through that. I think it like probably helps out quite a bit. But like from my end, like I said, probably because I didn't understand theme blocks well enough when I tried it with theme blocks, and it just like totally biffed. And probably because, like I said, I didn't probably give it enough context to understand like what was happening. But even when I let Claude Code do some stuff or whatever, like I first like built out the initial like blocks and structure, and then kind of let it add it kind of type thing. So I don't know. We'll see. It's really interesting. All these like not new AI tools. I feel like this is just kind of like the standard anymore. Like you're using a bunch of different LLMs for different tasks. We have access to this through, you know, all these other things. Raycast has their own little AI you can throw at. Grok, like Twitter's AI, you can do stuff at it. Perplexity, I haven't even touched Perplexity, but I know I should be using it, right? Like that's something people have talked about. Have you tried, since you get early access to all these things, have you tried Comet, the new Perplexity browser?
Tell you why.
Oh.
Crap, where was it? I read an article, so it must be true. But essentially, it painted a pretty poor picture of Perplexity, the company, and what they were planning on doing with the data that they were getting through people using both Perplexity Search and also, especially, their Comet browser. I'll see if I can dig it up, because I don't want to make unfounded allegations. That's not the kind of guy I am. I will found them. But, yeah, no, I've stayed away from it.
Okay.
Because of privacy.
Okay. That's good to know. Like, just
go
to
nuts,
like
though,
use a bit of caution.
You
go nuts, right? Like that's you do it. So that's all that is to say. It feels like LLMs and AI have. I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's kind of replaced this whole like, you know how like JavaScript frameworks, like that was the joke, like a new one pops up every week. Kind of what it feels like with AI and all these different like LLMs at this point. It's like a new thing pops up every single week, and I'm just trying to figure out what am I supposed to be using. Claude Code is still kicking everybody's butt when it comes to code specifically. But other stuff, you know, I'll use different tools for different things, whether it's helping me write email or copy for something or whatever. But like as far as actual code itself, like Claude still feels like it's just kicking butt, taking names. Even though they did, and you see that whole thing, they kind of like gated it a little bit. They removed like the whole like everybody can do everything unlimited or whatever, because there were a handful of users that were just like really going nuts on that $200 a month tier. I think the story was there were some people using like $5,000 worth of like tokens up every single day, like running multiple agents like 24/7. Like it was wild.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm looking for that article. I'll find it later.
You'll find it later.
I can't. Yeah. Anyway, Claude Code's the one I haven't directly used. I use it sometimes through Cursor because I can choose which LM I want. But I think at this point, so I pay for Cursor right now. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll use up my $20 a month of that because it doesn't usually last me a whole month anymore. And then I think I might get a Claude Code subscription. To augment it. I was pretty bullish on GPT-5 last week. I was getting some pretty good results with it, but then more recently, not so much. So I'm like,
I stopped using GPT-5 a while ago, or GPT just in general, like OpenAI's. Just because Claude was like so good. Like, well, I should say originally, I was probably early on like ChatGPT and then VS Code with Copilot. And then someone was like, you should use Cursor. And I was like, oh, cool, okay.
I've been me.
Cursor's
probably.
It was definitely you. And I was like, Cursor's phenomenal. And then people were like, well, if you really want to be productive, you should use like Claude Code. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be really productive. And so Claude Code has also been like very, very good. And so I would say, like I said, I'm at the point now where I'll have to take a look at, I paid for the annual for Cursor. But like when Cursor comes up again, like I don't know, it's going to be a hard sell, like as far as whether or not it's worth it, because I literally have just been using it like VS Code because it's all it is, like a VS Code fork, right?
Well, you can use been using the command line version of it too. Do the agentic stuff on the command line
with Cursor?
Yeah, they have Cursor CLI now.
Did not realize that. Maybe I'll have to play
around
around with
last
that.
week. Oh, you missed it. Yeah. Oh. So while you're busy in Twitter, I was reading the real news.
Well, if they missed last week, because I was in Barcelona and really off Twitter. So
you were not in Barcelona last week.
Last week.
When did you get back?
Last week on Friday, on the 8th.
Oh, you've only been back a week. Okay,
I've only been back a week. Yeah. I know it feels like a lot longer ago than that, doesn't it? But no, yeah, I was in Barcelona. We just got back Friday evening last week. We were on the plane. I would have been on a plane crossing the ocean at the moment.
All right, I forgive you. Anyway, check it out if you want to use Cursor that way. There's no reason to be in the ID if you want.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to know. As far as that goes, I'll definitely have to check it out. I don't know, like it does feel like, so I'm one of those people that's maybe kind of weird. I'm not sure. You're like definitely weird. Yeah. So I like to just have like my code editor open, and then I run the terminal separately. I use Warp for my terminal, and I really like Warp. And so I use Claude Code over in Warp my terminal while I have just like the full thing open for the actual like editor. And like that's my preferred. I don't like having this whole like everything's all in one screen. I really like it when they're separate kind of type thing. So I don't know. I'll have to play around with that. I'll check out Cursor CLI and see if that's any better.
What speed do you use Warp at? Warp 9?
That's whatever the top speed is. That's the. I
feel like it's so always funny. Been 9.
I've transitioned from like having like a million browser tabs open to like a million terminal tabs open, like because you're running like multiple things and.
You're on a Mac, right?
Interesting. Yes.
Do you have a PC lying around?
Not anymore, no. Okay. I've got a Raspberry Pi lying around.
I feel like the next step for you is to dig into this new Linux configuration that DHH is pushing hard, Omachi.
I know, yeah. I've been reading about that. He's all big about Omarchy and stuff. Like, yeah, he's trying to get everybody on board with it. So it'd be interesting when it comes time to
You thought
there's
theme
just so
blocks
much
was
stuff
hard.
that's like
Wait.
Mac specific though, that like it's kind of like, also like I'm super heavily invested now in Raycast. Like I love Raycast, and I think it's
Hey.
Mac OS only.
If it's good enough for DHH, it's good enough for you. Let me just say that.
Well, DHH is also smart enough to like use other stuff. Like I need the, give me the it's drawn in crayon stuff, man. Like
You probably don't remember the TextMate days, do you?
the old editor. Is
Yeah, it's
that
like early in like the DHH public influence
like-
sphere, right?
it's
It
like-
began with Rails, and then he made all these videos where he was using TextMate as his editor, and it had a couple
Okay.
automations built in at the time, which were like, code snippet expansion sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Blowing people's minds, right? So everybody would jump down TextMate because DHH was pushing it, because it was legit good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so you can kind of track these internet seasons of whatever based on whatever tool he's on. So then he went Mac, now he's in Linux. So we'll see what's next.
Yeah, he's just pushing the web. He is one of those people that like I feel like pushes the web forward though. Like
He
he's
does.
one of
I mean, it's
those
not
big,
like just marketing
big-
fluff. Like it's good.
yeah.
Not
that's
for
good.
everyone necessarily, but it's legit.
Yeah.
I think
He's on the
perfect,
Shopify
but
board now, so this
Yeah.
is all really relative.
He can do no wrong in my eyes from a technology standpoint, but that's just because.
Yeah, from a technology standpoint. Some of his other views, he's kind of out there on some stuff or whatever. I don't know. I do appreciate that he's one of those people. I feel like that like whatever lane he picks, he's just all in, and he's pretty unapologetic about it. He's just like, this is just what it is. This is how I think, and he writes a lot, and he writes very well, and so it is one of those things. I think that it's kind of interesting. He rubs people the wrong way or whatever kind of type thing with some of the things that he says, but I do appreciate that he at least does. He doesn't do a lot of waffling. It's more of like, this is what it is. This is how I think.
Yeah, the Danes aren't known for waffles. I think it's the Belgians you're thinking of. But anyway,
That's what it is. Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
definitely it.
Speaking of waffling and loquacity, we should probably talk about the changelog because we're coming up on time here. a little bit.
Yeah, we can talk about the changelog.
I didn't want you to miss out. I mean, it's your first one since your big trip. I wanted you to have.
It is.
ample
It's
time.
I forget how to even do this. Do you remember what the website is? Like to get
Yeah,
to the
you just
changelog?
start reading things, and I zone out for a few minutes, and then we come back and do the show.
Well, don't zone out for this. So, like,
I
one of the
won't.
things that everybody was super excited about that I saw one of the things that I saw was you can now request app reviews in the admin with the new reviews API.
Get
so
out.
the AppBridge reviews API let's let Shopify apps request reviews directly within the admin interface. Makes things way better, right? Like, you're much more likely to actually get legitimate reviews now. And so that's really, really nice. It says like there's no customization even required. Like, the component's already been designed, and so you can control like when it gets shown. But
totally
you
doing
really, it feels like this is supposed to be something like pretty simple, like, right, to just like fold in. And so obviously makes a ton of sense. Go ahead and add this in.
Every click in my app, it pops it up.
Get a review. Get a review. Do it. Yeah. So I think that's easier. I don't know. Like, I speak again, like, not as an app dev, but someone who does services, works with merchants directly, and the frustration of how hard it is sometimes to get a review left. Like, even when the merchant is super happy, me as the service provider, it's like, hey, like, we should really leave a review for this app. Sometimes because it's a friend of mine, other times just because, like, I know, like, it's helpful for these app devs. And, like, there's all sorts of weird stuff that, like, these little, like, speed bumps that keep these people from leaving reviews. It's so wild. I was working even with a Plus shop, and it took us weeks to be able to leave some review, because initially it said they weren't eligible to leave a review after having used the app for months. And so I don't even remember what the issue ended up being, but it's hard. And so, like, this is one more thing to make it easy for folks to get reviews. So I'm really glad that Shopify is doing that. Another big thing in Shopify Dev Land, support for nested cart lines. This is really cool. So when you can actually have this like parent-child like relationship with a product. So let's say, for instance, maybe we're not doing necessarily like a quote-unquote bundle, but like you want to add like a warranty with a specific product, but you want that warranty to be tied to a specific product. So like someone has a camera, and we want the warranty to be tied to that camera, not necessarily to maybe a lens or something that might not be eligible for the warranty. You can actually show it now in the cart as associated with that. You can add them together by associating those. So like the cart API now supports this. Super cool. I will find, actually, there was a great article written up in the Shopify Dev community as well for this. And so like it's got some really good use cases and examples from Karsten Anderson. And so I'm going to share that as well. That's definitely something I want to make sure we're calling out, because in the Shopify Dev community has some nice code samples and stuff as well. So I'll make sure to include that as well. A couple of things where action is required for changes, deprecations, yada, yada, yada. But as far as, one of the things, tracking consent landing page, original refer cookies are no longer going to be set. So if that's something that you're using, trying to keep track of as well here with the customer privacy API, that's something to be considering here. September 15th, they're deprecating some of these cookies that are no longer going to be set, on merchant storefronts. So check that out. We'll include that in the show notes. As well, some other cookies not being set. Shopify _Y and Shopify _S cookies are no longer going to be set. I'm not sure what you even use these for necessarily, but since it's action required, probably should throw this out here in case you're using this. It's something specific to do with when you're using pixels on the client ID property. This has something to do with this, so I would check this out, as well, just because it's action required. I don't really understand it, but if you're using it, I'm sure it's really important. Other thing to be aware of. So deprecation of the checkout and accounts configuration update webhook. So, which this kind of seems like it's important, but I think it's because they're now changing this. So previously, this checkout and accounts configuration update webhook, originally introduced back in April 2025, is already being deprecated. So that's weird. January 1. And so basically, you should go ahead and unsubscribe before the removal date. But so if you want to track thank you and order status page updates, you should use the admin API checkout profiles, which now will include this specifically with a Boolean field to access there. Excuse me. And so make sure you're doing that instead. You obviously need to know that stuff. So the checkout and configuration stuff. Yeah, you got to know it. So that one seems like a bigger deal to me, particularly since they only relatively recently rolled it out. It seems like something they rolled out because it was asked for quite a bit. But obviously it's becoming more and more prominent. So they just made it part of the checkout profiles here. So check that out as well. But those are some of the big ones in the changelog. Obviously some of the things that are exciting, and then some of the things where just actions required and you all need to know. So there you go.
Thank you, Taylor. Your service to this community is exceptional and valued.
For sure.
Speaking of service, I didn't give you a heads up. Do you have a pick of the week?
I just got done talking. Why don't you give us your pick of the week, and then I'll think about
my
it.
Pick of the week is going to be a little cliche. Might even be expecting it. I don't know. But my pick of the week, dear Taylor, is you. I picked Taylor as my pick of the week, which I haven't done before. After 2 years of doing this together, it's the first time I picked you.
You have not done it before.
I missed you, Taylor. When your absence was greatly felt on this side of the podcast desk. And so I'm glad you're back. Glad you had a good time. It wouldn't be fun to do this without you. So thanks for not abandoning me completely.
Well, thank you. I can't just turn around and pick you back. I'll have to pick another time, perhaps if I actually catch your birthday properly as a reminder.
And if you can stick with me for 2 years, I think you can probably put up with me for a lot longer. So I feel like we're good. Anyway, so that's my pick of the week. Taylor paid, people.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and chat with you. I think it's fun, even if it's just a good excuse to hang out and chit chat a little bit about Shopify stuff. I'm all for it. So, I will say for my pick,
that one.
I can't. I cannot. So I'm gonna actually probably just pick something that I kind of picked or talked a little bit about earlier as far as my pick of the week. After traveling and stuff like that, one of the things that I found quite invaluable was the Kindle that I had. That was really fantastic to have at the time. So, and you can find so much stuff. I've really enjoyed reading again, and lugging books around and being worried about too much light, too little light, and those sorts of things. I've got to keep these these eyes, as best as I can here, like after having that eye surgery.
Those are expensive, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be reading in low light and all this other stuff or what have you. And the Kindle is it's very nice. So any kind of like reading device that makes it easy for you to read or whatever, I think it's such a good investment in general. So like I said, I've really enjoyed reading again. You can find a lot of books. One of the things, so Carl, I don't know if you run into this, but as far as I really enjoy like sci-fi, like, science fiction, fantasy books, kind of type, like that kind of type genre. And movies the same. So like we're talking about Lord of the Rings and
Me too.
Stuff like this, but there's not a lot of good like movies or whatever that you can find that aren't like super low budget, right? Some of them are so bad they're actually good. But as far as that goes, when I do watch a movie, a lot of times I'll look for this because otherwise, like I'm usually watching like comedy or something like this or whatever with my wife. So when I'm just watching a movie, I want to watch something like this. But they don't have a lot of that stuff. So, but having access to books and those sorts of things or what have you, you can find loads of books in these genres that are actually pretty great. So highly recommend a Kindle or some kind of reading device. It just makes it very convenient and easy to read pretty much anywhere. So
excellent. Well, Taylor, we've done it. I am going to go now and travel the world gastrointestinally. I am going to go get myself a Kiro after this, so I wanted to throw that out there. People think that I'm just boring and stay in Ohio, but no, I'm getting Greek food today. But yeah,
world
those of
travel.
you that are with us, I hope you enjoy your lunch too. Thanks for making it through the show, and we will see you on the next one. Happy hacking.
Bye.
I need a better tagline. Get out of here. Go code.
Go forth and code.
Excelsior. I don't know. Figure something out.
Excelsior. I like it.
All right. See you, Taylor.
Bye.